Dr. Kite adjusted his simple gray suit as he waited in the meeting room. The world leaders had chosen him to meet the aliens, though most people didn't understand why. He looked ordinary, a middle-aged scientist with gentle eyes and gray hair. He didn't look like someone who would face an immortal army. His assistant, Yujin, stood nearby, checking some data on her tablet. "The Immortal ship will land in 10 minutes, she said quietly. "Are you sure about this, Doctor?" Keita smiled slightly. "They expect to meet generals and politicians. They expect big weapons and armies. That's why sending me will confuse them." The landing pad outside the window lit up with bright lights. It was midnight in Seoul, but the area was as bright as day. Security teams stood at a distance, though everyone knew they would be useless against immortal beings. "They're here," Yujin said, looking up from her tablet. The alien ship landed smoothly, its silver surface reflecting the bright lights. It was smaller than their main ships in orbit, about the size of a large airplane. The door opened with a soft hiss, and out walked 3 figures in golden armor. Keita recognized Commander Heijin from the video messages. The alien leader was tall and moved with the confidence of someone who had never lost a fight. Behind him came Captain J1 and another soldier. "Doctor," Yujin whispered, "I'll be in the control room. Remember, we just need to keep them talking for 3 more days." Keita nodded, and Yujin left just as the aliens entered the room. Up close, their golden armor looked even more impressive. It seemed to glow with its own light. "This is Earth's chosen representative?" Heijin asked, his voice showing slight amusement. "A scientist." "I am Dr. Keita," he said calmly, bowing slightly. "Welcome to Earth." Jai-1 walked around the room, checking for hidden weapons or traps. She found nothing except simple furniture and some refreshments on a table. "Your leaders show either great wisdom or great foolishness by sending you," Heijin said, sitting down across from Keita. His armor made no sound as he moved. It was more advanced than anything on Earth. "Do you know who we are?" "You are the Immortal Dominion," Keita replied, pouring tea into 2 cups. "You have conquered hundreds of worlds. You cannot die. And now you want Earth." Heijin watched as Keita pushed 1 cup of tea toward him. The scientist's hands were steady, showing no fear. "Then you know resistance is pointless," Heijin said. "Why did you ask for this meeting?" Keita sipped his tea carefully. "To understand each other better. You've lived for thousands of years. Surely you've learned that talking can be more interesting than fighting." Jai-1 stepped forward. "Commander, this is a waste of time. They're obviously planning something." "Of course we are," Keita said simply. Both aliens stared at him. "Just as you are. The question is, what will we learn about each other before either plan unfolds?" Heijin laughed, a sound that hadn't changed in 3,000 years. "You're either very brave or very foolish, Doctor, but you've made me curious. Tell me, what could Earth possibly do against an army that cannot die?" Keita set down his teacup. His eyes met Heijin's with calm confidence. "Commander, after living for so long, haven't you learned that death isn't the worst thing that can happen to someone?" For the first time in centuries, Heijin felt something close to uncertainty. This human wasn't acting like anyone they had met before. He wasn't afraid, and he wasn't trying to show strength. He was just waiting. "You have 3 days," Heijin declared, standing up. 3 days to convince us why we shouldn't take your world by force." As the aliens left the room, Keita remained seated, finishing his tea. In the control room, Yujin's voice came through his hidden earpiece. 3 days is all we need, Doctor. The mortality engine will be ready by then." Commander Heijin made his choice. He walked slowly to the right side of the room, joining those who wished to return to immortality. A quiet sadness filled the laboratory as those who had chosen mortality watched their commander's decision. "I must return," Heijin explained, his voice gentle. "Not because I fear death, but because someone must remember this day. Someone must tell other immortal civilizations what we learned here on Earth. Dr. Kita nodded with understanding. You choose immortality not to avoid life, but to share its meaning with others. That itself is a kind of growth. Captain Jaiwan stepped forward from the group that had chosen mortality. Commander, it has been an honor serving with you for 500 years. Now I look forward to living perhaps only 50 more years, but living them fully. Hejin looked at his former captain with new respect. And I look forward to telling others about how my bravest officer chose to become mortal so she could feel the wind again. Yum-Ho and nearly half of the immortal army stood with Jaiwan, choosing to stay on Earth. The other half gathered behind Hejin, ready to return to their ships and their immortal existence. Dr. Kita activated the mortality engine one last time. Its blue light surrounded those who had chosen immortality, restoring their unchanging nature. Hejin felt the familiar coldness return to his body as his heart stopped beating again. Remember, Kita said to Hejin, you can always return if you change your mind. Earth will welcome you. Before leaving, Hejin walked to Jaiwan and did something he hadn't done in 3,000 years. He hugged her. Live well, he said. Feel everything. Learn everything. Show us what we forgot about being alive. The immortals departed in their golden ships, rising into the morning sky. But they left differently than they had arrived. They went not as conquerors, but as messengers, carrying the story of how humanity had offered them not defeat, but choice. 1 year later, Jaiwan stood on a hill outside Seoul, watching the sunrise with Yum-Ho. They had spent the year learning to be human again, eating food, feeling pain, experiencing joy, and even falling in love. Do you regret choosing mortality? Yum-Ho asked her, holding her hand. Jaiwan shook her head, smiling. How can I regret feeling my heart beat faster when you're near, or knowing that each sunrise is precious because it won't last forever? In his laboratory, Dr. Kita and Eugene received messages from across the galaxy. Other immortal civilizations had heard Hejin's story. Some were coming to Earth, not to conquer, but to learn, to choose, to feel again. We didn't just save Earth, Kita said, watching the messages arrive. We reminded the universe what it means to be truly alive. Eugene smiled as she read the latest message. Hejin writes that 3 more immortal societies have asked to visit Earth. They want to understand how being mortal can be stronger than being immortal. And what does Hejin think now? Kite asked. He says he's glad he stayed immortal. Eugene read from the message. Because now he can spend eternity teaching others that the power to live, to change, and to choose is greater than the power to exist forever. As the sun rose over Earth that morning, humans and former immortals walked together in its light. Each step, each breath, each moment meant something because it would not last forever. And in that meaning, they had found something greater than immortality. They had found life itself. Commander Hejin stood at the bridge of his massive spaceship, looking down at the blue planet called Earth. His golden armor shone under the bright lights of the command center. He had lived for 3,000 years, but Earth was different from any planet he had seen before. Status report, he ordered, his voice calm and steady. The crew around him worked quickly at their stations. They had done this many times before. Invading planets was nothing new to them. All systems are ready, Commander, said Captain Jaiwan, walking up to him with a datapad. Our ships are in position around the planet. We have enough forces to take over their major cities in less than a day. Hejin nodded slowly. In his long life, he had conquered hundreds of worlds. His army was called the Immortal Dominion because none of them could die. They had never lost a battle, and they had never failed to take over a planet. But something felt strange this time. Where is their defense fleet? Hejin asked, frowning at the empty space around Earth. Where are their space weapons? Jaiwan checked her datapad again. Sir, they have some primitive satellites and a few small space stations. Nothing that could hurt us. They don't even have proper space weapons. Jin walked closer to the large window. Earth's oceans looked like blue jewels from space. White clouds moved slowly across its surface. It was beautiful, but too peaceful. In his experience, peace usually meant a trap. "What about their ground forces?" he asked. "They have armies, but they use very basic weapons. No energy guns, no force fields. They mostly fight with metal bullets and small bombs." Jai-1 replied. She smiled a little. "They're still using fossil fuels for their vehicles." Jin remembered all the other civilizations they had fought. Most of them had put up strong fights. Some had lasted weeks or even months before falling. But all of them had fallen in the end. Nobody could beat an army that couldn't die. "Send out the scout ships," he ordered. "I want to know everything about their defenses." And Jai-1. "Yes, Commander. Tell our soldiers to be extra careful. Something doesn't feel right. These humans, they're either very stupid or very clever." The scout ships left the main fleet, their silver hulls glinting in Earth's sunlight. As they entered the atmosphere, Jin watched them on the main screen. Still no response from Earth. No missiles, no fighter jets, nothing. One of the crew members spoke up. "Sir, we're picking up a lot of communications from the surface. The humans know we're here. They're talking about us on all their media channels." "And what are they saying?" Jin asked. They're not panicking. They're just waiting. Their leaders are asking their people to stay calm." And the crew member paused, looking confused. "They say they want to talk to us." Jin's frown deepened. In 3,000 years of conquering worlds, he had never seen this reaction. Usually, there was fear, chaos, desperate fighting. But calm, wanting to talk, it made no sense. "Commander," Jai-1 said quietly, "should we start the attack now? We could take their major cities before they have time to prepare anything." Jin kept staring at Earth, his golden armor reflecting the blue light from the planet. After a long moment, he shook his head. "No. First, we find out what they're planning. Send a message. Tell them we'll accept one representative to meet with us. Let's see what these humans have to say before we crush them." As the message was sent to Earth, Jin couldn't shake off his feeling of unease. In all his years of fighting, he had learned to trust his instincts. And right now, his instincts were telling him that these humans were hiding something. Something that made them too confident. He just had to find out what it was before they could use it against his immortal army. Commander Jin stood on his ship's bridge, watching the time display count down. The 48 hours were almost over. Earth's cities lay quiet beneath them, their lights twinkling in the darkness. "All attack forces are ready, Commander," Captain Jai-1 reported. "We can begin as soon as you give the order." Jin nodded slowly. "Something still bothers me, Captain. Why aren't they afraid? Why aren't they fighting?" "Perhaps they've accepted their defeat," Jai-1 suggested. But she didn't sound convinced. The time display reached 0. Jin straightened his shoulders. "Begin the attack. Take their major cities first." Across Earth, golden ships descended from the sky. They carried thousands of immortal soldiers in gleaming armor. The soldiers had fought on countless worlds, and they expected this battle to be like all the others. But when they landed, they found empty streets. No armies waited for them. No weapons fired at them. The cities were quiet, as if the humans had simply disappeared. In Seoul, Jin led his personal guard through the silent streets. Their armored boots made no sound on the pavement. Their technology was too advanced for such primitive noise. "Commander," one soldier called out, "we're detecting a single energy source. It's coming from underground." Jin smiled. Finally, they would see what the humans were hiding. "Take us there," he ordered. They found the entrance to the underground facility easily, too easily. The doors opened as they approached, inviting them in. "It's a trap," Jai-1 warned. "Of course it is," Jin replied. "But after 3,000 years, I want to see what kind of trap these humans think could work against us." They marched down the long tunnel, their armor glowing softly in the darkness. At the end, they found a large round room. Dr. Kita stood in the center, holding the silver sphere of the mortality engine. Yu Jin stood beside him, operating a control panel. "Welcome," Kita said calmly. "I've been waiting for you." He Jin laughed. The sound echoed off the walls. "This is your great defense." One old scientist with a metal ball. "This is humanity's gift to you," Kita replied. He held up the sphere, which pulsed with soft blue light. "A chance to live again. Really live." "We are immortal," He Jin declared. "We are beyond life and death. Your tricks cannot harm us." Kita shook his head sadly. "This isn't about harm, Commander. Tell me, when was the last time you felt fear? Joy? Love? When was the last time anything you did truly mattered?" For a moment, Ho Jin felt something strange, a flicker of doubt. But he pushed it away. "Enough talk. Surrender now, or we will take this facility by force." "You still don't understand," Kita said. He pressed a button on the sphere. "We're not surrendering. We're offering you freedom." The mortality engine began to hum. Its blue light grew brighter, filling the room. He Jin raised his weapon, but hesitated. Something felt different. Something felt wrong. "What is this?" Jai-Won asked, her voice showing confusion for the first time in centuries. "Commander, I feel strange." Kita finished for her. "That's because you're beginning to feel again. Really feel. The way mortals do." He Jin tried to step forward, but his legs felt heavy. His armor, which had been like a second skin for thousands of years, suddenly felt cold and hard. And in his chest, he felt something he hadn't experienced since before he became immortal: the beating of his heart. Young Ho, one of the immortal soldiers, was the first to understand what was happening. He had been immortal for only 500 years, much less than Commander He Jin or Captain Ji-Won. Perhaps that was why he felt the changes more quickly. His legs felt heavy in his golden armor. His chest rose and fell with breaths he hadn't needed to take for centuries. Most strange of all, he felt tired. The word seemed foreign in his mind. Immortals didn't get tired. "Commander," Young Ho called out, his voice shaking. "Something is wrong. I feel weak." He Jin turned to look at his soldier, but the movement made his head spin. The mortality engine's blue light filled the room, touching everything with its soft glow. Each pulse of light seemed to make their immortal bodies remember what it meant to be mortal. "What have you done to us?" Jai-Won demanded, trying to keep her weapon steady. But her hands were shaking, another new sensation she had forgotten about long ago. Dr. Kita walked closer, still holding the glowing sphere. "Your immortality was like a frozen river," he explained gently. "Nothing moving, nothing changing, nothing growing. We've simply helped the ice begin to melt." He Jin tried to give orders to attack, but more soldiers were dropping to their knees. Some were touching their chests, feeling their hearts beat for the first time in centuries. Others were taking off their helmets, wanting to feel real air on their faces. "Stop this," He Jin commanded, but his voice wasn't as strong as before. "We are the immortal dominion. We cannot be defeated by feelings." "These aren't just feelings, Commander," Kita said. "This is life. Real life. Not the frozen existence you've been trapped in for thousands of years." Yu Jin checked her monitors. "The transformation is stable, Doctor. Their bodies are remembering how to be mortal, just as we planned." Young Ho took off his helmet completely. Tears ran down his face. Another sensation he had forgotten. "I remember," he whispered. "I remember what it was like to feel the wind, to be hungry, to be afraid." "Afraid." He Jin spat the word out. "We are beyond fear. We conquered fear when we conquered death." "Did you?" Kite asked softly. "Or did you just stop feeling anything at all?" More soldiers were removing their armor now. Each piece that fell to the ground seemed to take some of their immortality with it. They touched their arms, their faces, feeling warmth and cold for the first time in centuries. Jaiwan lowered her weapon slowly. "Commander," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "I can feel my heart beating. I had forgotten what that felt like." The Jinn wanted to punish them all for their weakness, but his own body was changing too. Sweat formed on his forehead. Such a human thing. His legs trembled with fatigue, another mortal weakness. And in his chest, his heart beat stronger with each passing moment. "You see, Commander," Kita said, watching as the mighty Immortal army discovered their mortality. "We didn't need to defeat you. We just needed to remind you of what you lost when you stopped being mortal. The joy of feeling, the beauty of change, the precious value of each moment when you know those moments aren't endless." In orbit, the great ships of the Immortal Dominion hung silent in space. Their crews were experiencing the same changes. Across the world, every immortal soldier was discovering what it meant to be truly alive again, not just existing forever, but living in the full, beautiful, terrifying way that only mortals could understand. Deep under the mountains of Korea, Dr. Kitai and Yujin walked through a long tunnel. Their footsteps echoed off the stone walls. The air was cool and clean thanks to hidden air systems. "Status report," Kita said as they reached a heavy metal door. Yujin checked her tablet. "The mortality engine is at 89% power. All tests are good. We're ahead of schedule." They placed their hands on two panels by the door. Green lights scanned their palms, and the door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside was a large round room filled with screens and machines. In the center stood their creation, the mortality engine. It looked simple, a silver sphere about the size of a basketball, floating in a clear cylinder. But soft blue light pulsed from inside it like a heartbeat. 20 scientists worked at different stations around the room. They all looked up when Kita and Yujin entered. Dr. Kita, one of the scientists, called out, "We've finished the final safety checks. No radiation leaks. No quantum instability." Kita walked to the floating sphere. He placed his hand on the glass cylinder, feeling the slight warmth coming from it. "Show me the test results," he said. Yujin pressed some buttons on a nearby console. A screen lit up, showing a video of their last test. In it, they had placed a special crystal in a sealed room. The crystal was like the ones that powered the Immortal's armor. They had studied pieces of it from old alien shipwrecks. In the video, the mortality engine powered up. The crystal glowed brightly at first, then slowly dimmed. When they checked it after the test, it had changed. It wasn't broken or destroyed. It was just mortal. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Kita said quietly. 300 years of human science, all leading to this moment. "Do you think they suspect anything?" Yujin asked, looking at another screen showing the Immortal ships in orbit. Kita shook his head. "They're too sure of themselves. They think we're working on a weapon to kill them. They don't understand that death isn't the answer." He turned to face his team. "The Immortals have lived so long that they've forgotten what it means to be alive. They don't grow. They don't change. They just exist." Walking around the mortality engine, he continued, "This device doesn't destroy immortality. It gives them a choice, a chance to feel again, to care again, to be truly alive." One of the younger scientists looked worried. "But sir, what if they choose to attack us anyway, even after they become mortal?" Kita smiled. "That's the beautiful part. Once they can feel fear, pain, and death again, once they remember what it means to be mortal, they'll understand something they've forgotten over their thousands of years." "What's that?" several scientists asked. "That the strongest beings in the universe aren't those who can't die," Kita said, watching the blue light pulse in the sphere. "They're the ones who keep living, loving, and growing despite knowing that they will die someday." Yujin checked her tablet again. "Sir, the Immortals are scanning the planet's surface more actively now. They're getting suspicious." "Let them scan," Kita said calmly. They're looking for weapons on the surface. They'll never think to look deep underground for a device that doesn't destroy. The mortality engine's pulse grew stronger, its blue light filling the room. In less than a day, it would be ready. And then the Immortal army would face something they hadn't experienced in thousands of years, the precious gift of mortality. The morning sun filled Dr. Kita's laboratory with warm light. Commander He-jin stood before his gathered soldiers, who waited nervously to hear his decision. Being nervous was still a new feeling for them, one of many they were learning to experience again. Dr. Kita, He-jin said, his voice steady despite his uncertainty, you have shown us what we lost when we became immortal, but now you must give us a choice. Kita nodded and gestured to Yu-jin, who stepped forward with the mortality engine. The sphere's blue light pulsed softly, matching the rhythm of their now beating hearts. The choice is simple, Kita explained. We can reverse the effect for those who wish to return to immortality. You can leave Earth and continue your existence as before, or you can stay and learn to live as mortals among us. Captain Jaewon touched her face, feeling the warmth in her cheeks. You would let us stay, after we came to conquer you. Of course, Kita smiled. What better way to learn about life than from those who have never taken it for granted? Young Ho stepped forward. I want to stay, he said quickly. I want to feel everything again, even if it means I will die someday. Other soldiers began to speak up. Some wanted to stay, amazed by the simple feelings they have forgotten. Hunger, tiredness, the beating of their hearts. Others were afraid of death, wanting to return to the safety of immortality. He-jin watched his army divide itself. In 3,000 years, he had never allowed them to make their own choices. Now he saw them thinking, feeling, deciding for themselves. Those who wish to return to immortality, he announced, step to my right. Those who wish to stay mortal to my left. The soldiers moved slowly, each making their choice. Ji-won walked to the left side, choosing mortality. She smiled as she took her place among those who wanted to stay. I want to watch sunrises again, she explained when He-jin looked at her questioningly. I want to feel the wind and rain. I want my actions to have meaning because they cannot last forever. More soldiers joined her, while others moved to the right, choosing to return to immortality. Young Ho stood with those choosing mortality, his eyes bright with tears of joy. Commander, Kita said gently, you must choose as well. He-jin looked at his hands again, feeling the weight of his decision. In one direction lay the perfect, unchanging existence he had known for thousands of years. In the other lay uncertainty, growth, and eventually death. Before I choose, he said, tell me one thing, Doctor. Why did you do this? You could have tried to destroy us. Instead, you gave us a choice that no one has offered us in thousands of years. Keita walked to a window, where the morning sun made shadows dance on the wall. Because the greatest power in the universe isn't the ability to live forever, he said. It's the ability to choose how to live the time you have. We wanted to give you back that power. He-jin nodded slowly, understanding at last. He looked at his divided army, those choosing eternal life without change, and those choosing a mortal life full of feeling and growth. Now he had to make the same choice himself. The world's leaders gathered in the United Nations building in New York. They sat in the large meeting hall, watching the massive screen where Commander He-jin's face appeared, larger than life. His golden armor seemed to glow even through the video feed. People of Earth, He-jin's voice filled the room. Your representative, Dr. Kita, has asked for time to convince us not to take your world. We have been patient. Now we will show you why resistance is pointless. The screen changed to show a view of a small, uninhabited island in the Pacific Ocean. 3 of the Immortal ships moved into position above it. Dr. Kita sat in the front row, watching calmly. Next to him, Yu-jin checked something on her tablet, her face tense but determined. Watch carefully. He-jin's voice continued. This is but a fraction of our power. Green beams of light shot from the ships, Where they hit the island, the ground turned to glass instantly. The heat was so intense that the ocean around the island began to boil. In less than a minute, the entire island was gone, leaving only a circle of steam and glass in the water. The room stayed silent. Some leaders gripped their chairs tightly. Others closed their eyes. But Dr. Kita kept watching, his expression unchanged. The screen switched back to He-Jin's face. That was one small island. Imagine what we could do to your cities, your armies, your entire civilization. One of the world leaders stood up, his voice shaking. What do you want from us? Complete surrender, He-Jin replied. Turn over control of your governments to us. Accept our rule, or we will destroy you all. Dr. Kita raised his hand politely, like a student in class. He-Jin noticed and narrowed his eyes. The quiet scientist wishes to speak, He-Jin said. Very well. What do you have to say after seeing our power? Keita stood up slowly. Commander, you have shown us impressive technology, but you haven't shown us wisdom. May I request 48 more hours to help prepare humanity for the changes ahead? Captain Jaiwan appeared on the screen next to He-Jin. Commander, they're clearly planning something. We should attack now. But He-Jin raised his hand, silencing her. He studied Keita's face carefully. You are either the bravest or the most foolish human I have met. 48 hours, Doctor. Not a minute more. Use this time to convince your people to surrender. The screen went dark. Immediately, the room erupted in panic. Leaders argued with each other, some wanting to fight back, others ready to surrender. Keita turned to He-Jin. How much longer? He whispered. 44 hours until the mortality engine is ready, she replied quietly. The final calibrations are crucial. We can't rush them. Keita nodded and stood up. His voice, though not loud, somehow cut through all the arguing. My friends, please stay calm. This is not the time for fear. Not the time for fear. Someone shouted. They just destroyed an island in seconds. Yes, Keita said. They showed us their greatest weapon. But they still haven't seen ours. What weapon? Another leader asked. We have nothing that can harm immortal beings. Keita smiled slightly. Exactly. We don't want to harm them. We want to help them. They just don't know it yet. As the leaders stared at him in confusion, Keita and He-Jin quietly left the room. They had work to do in their hidden laboratory. The Immortals had shown their power over death. Soon, humanity would show them something far more powerful, the meaning of life. Commander He-Jin sat on a simple chair in the laboratory, his golden armor removed for the first time in centuries. His hands trembled as he held a cup of warm tea that Dr. Keita had offered him. The simple sensation of warmth against his fingers felt overwhelming. Around the room, other immortal soldiers were experiencing similar moments of revelation. Some were eating food, tasting flavors they had forgotten. Others were simply breathing deeply, feeling the air fill their lungs. Captain Jaiwan stood by a wall, watching water drip from a pipe, fascinated by each falling drop. How long has it been? He-Jin asked quietly, his voice different without the immortal power behind it. How long since I truly felt anything? Dr. Keita sat across from him, the mortality engine pulsing softly on a table between them. That's the question you needed to ask, Commander. Not how to conquer more worlds, but how to feel them. Young Ho approached them slowly, his movements uncertain as he adjusted to his mortal body. Sir, he said to He-Jin, the reports from our ships show that all our forces are experiencing the same changes. Some are afraid. Others. He paused, searching for the right word. Others are crying with joy. He-Jin looked at his hands again. They were strong hands, but now he could see small wrinkles in them. Signs of age that his immortality had hidden. 3,000 years, he whispered. I've lived for 3,000 years, but have I truly been alive? He-Jin worked at her control panel, monitoring the transformation process. The changes are complete, she reported. Their bodies have fully remembered how to be mortal. Their cells are aging normally now. They can feel pain, hunger, fatigue, everything that makes us human. Everything that makes us weak. Jin said, but there was doubt in his voice. Is it weakness to feel? Kite asked gently. Is it weakness to care, to love, to know that each moment matters because it won't last forever? Jai-Wan walked over to them, her eyes wide with wonder. Commander, I just remembered something. Before I became immortal, I used to watch sunrises. Each one was different. Each one was beautiful because I knew it would end. When did we stop watching sunrises? The question hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Jin stood up slowly, feeling the weight of his mortal body. He walked to a small window that showed a narrow view of the sky above. The first light of dawn was beginning to appear. We thought immortality would make us gods, Jin said, watching the colors change in the sky. Instead, it turned us into statues. We stopped changing. We stopped growing. We stopped feeling. Keita nodded. That's why we didn't build a weapon to destroy you. We built a gift to restore you. But now we can die, Yumho said, touching his chest where his heart beat steadily. Yes, Keita agreed. And that means now you can truly live. Jin turned from the window to face his soldiers. For the first time in thousands of years, they saw tears in their commander's eyes. I feel fear, he admitted. I feel uncertainty. I feel, he paused, amazed by the sensation. I feel alive. The morning sun finally rose, sending rays of light through the small window. The immortal army that had come to conquer Earth stood in silence, feeling the warmth on their faces, experiencing the simple miracle of a new day as mortals once again.